So Cyberpunk has been out for a couple of months, and during that time, mod authors have been working around the clock to basically improve the game, whether that's restoring cut content like the last video that I've shown, or like today's video where it gives a little bit more life and some RPG elements, which the game probably should have had or is maybe being patched in at some point. As always, I will leave a description for all the mods that I talk about today, and there will be timestamps if you're looking for a particular mod, so you can check all of that in the description down below. Today's video is strictly going to be focused on improving your Cyberpunk experience by adding features and some mechanics that probably should have been in the game when it came out and maybe patched in later. However, I feel these will be really good for a second or maybe third playthrough. Or if you haven't played the game before and you've been interested in it since the 1.23 patch or the awaited 1.3 patch, I think these mods will go hand in hand with that first time playthrough. So the first mod we're going to be taking a look at is actually pretty interesting because it's technically cut content. If you boot up the PS4 or the Xbox One version of Cyberpunk 2077 without patching it, you will actually have this feature in the game. The feature I'm talking about is called Street Vendors. Now these are vendors that are scattered around Night City which you can buy miscellaneous things from, such as health drinks, comic books, and things like that. It's very weird that this feature was patched out. I understand this was probably done to save data for other patches and other things that may affect gameplay even more, but this content has been restored via mods and you can go ahead and check it out. All you have to do is walk up to any street vendor, press the talk key twice as you'll get the generic dialogue, and then you'll actually open up the inventory and you can buy certain things from them. Now again, this is one of those small mods that is really more for immersion more so than technicality, but nevertheless it's one of those mods that gives a little bit more life into Night City and makes it seem a little bit more robust with this RPG features. Speaking of immersion and RPG elements, the next mod we're going to be taking a look at today is called StreetStyle Immersive Fashion System. What this does is whenever you purchase some clothing, you'll see some new buffs on the clothes. This is in relation to your body, your reflex, technical ability, intelligence, and your cool factor. These are relatively small but meaningful buffs, and not only do they help with conversation dialogue, but also helps with immersion in the real world, such as ripping off a turret, opening a door, hacking a computer, things like that. And this really does change your character customization, as now instead of just getting the basic defensive buff or seeing which clothes has enough mod icons in it, now you can kind of dress in order to improve certain features that you wasn't necessarily building your character for. And the set bonus is actually pretty cool as well. So if you wear a complete set of an outfit, you'll actually get a bonus on top of the other bonuses. I think this is actually something that should have been in the vanilla game and really does help with character customization and making your V your own V and sort of dressing for success, if you will. If you need certain buffs but you don't want to build towards that character, switch around your clothing, boom, now you can actually do certain things that you wasn't able to do before. I really do like this mod, and I think it's something that should be installed for a first time or second time playthrough, as it adds that necessary customization option that is missing from your character. Yes, you do have some customization option in terms of your upgrades, but this goes a step further, as now you can actually dress with certain clothing that you like and not necessarily for the defensive buff that it provides. The next mod we're going to be taking a look at is called Vendor Preview. What this mod does is allows you to preview clothing before you actually purchase them. Once you install the mod, you will be given a new hotkey, which will allow you to bring up a 3D model of V, and from there, once you select the piece of clothing, it will actually show up on V as to what it will look like before you purchase it. This is actually really useful if you don't want to waste eddies and you're more of the style over substance player. I really do enjoy this mod in combination with the previous mod I just showcased, because it also shows the stats bonuses that you get from that mod along with a preview of the clothing, so that way you can decide, oh, I like the stats on this but I don't like the color of this helmet, or I don't like this polka dot trench coat, let me find something else. I think it really does bring that extra life to Night City and gives you a little bit more customization options within V. I think this is something that was probably planned just for how easy it was to implement it. However, for whatever reason, it was just cut. And I couldn't tell you why it was cut, but it's a nice feature to have, and I think it's one of those mods that, again, you just kind of install and always have it there. And it's really simple to use. Again, it's just a simple button press. You do have to zoom in each time you bring up the preview window, but that's just a small complaint for what the mod actually does give you. The last mod we're going to be talking about today is probably the biggest out of the bunch, as it does so many things, which I highly recommend you use this on a new playthrough, and it's called Lifepath Bonuses and Gang-Corp Traits. What this mod does is modifies every part of the damage system and hacks that gives gangs and corps more uniqueness to them. What I mean by that is that depending on what life path you chose and what you're fighting against, they will have different buffs and debuffs. I will break down some of the examples here, but as I said before, you definitely want to read through the description, and it is configurable, as it will kind of give you a base of exactly what this mod does. For example, when going against the Maelstrom, they have a firewall that makes them immune to covert hacks. They have a ICE, which is to increase the upload time and RAM cost by 1. Cyber Optics, which has their enhanced detection. They're immune to burning and immune to bleeding, both to the pain inhibitors and the mostly being chrome. Chrome Dome makes them resistant to headshots, and the subdermal body planing makes them resistant to assault weapons. When going against the 6th Street game, they also have a firewall which makes them immune to damage hacks, an ICE that has an upload time of +2 and a RAM cost of +1. Pain Editors, which makes them resistant to blood and annihilation damage. Health Monitors, which means they have a one-shot protection, meaning that max 80% of full health in one shot. And then they have Ballistic Countermeasures, which is resistant to power weapons and vulnerable to ricochet weapons. So it really does make you want to change up what weapons you're using depending on what gang you're using. It may also change what type of hacks that you have, as you may be more of a covert hacks person, but if you're going against the Maelstrom, covert hacks aren't necessarily going to work, so you may need to switch it up. What this mod also does is with the Lifepath bonuses, it will simulate exactly how other gangs and corporations will act towards you depending on what Lifepath you chose. For example, if you are a corpo, then you'll be more familiar with Arasaka, Biotech, Kangtile, and Militech, versus you being more familiar with the street kids such as the Mox, Tiger Claws, Valentinos, etc. And depending on which Lifepath you chose and which enemies you're fighting, you'll get significant buffs or debuffs. For example, if you was to choose the Corporal Lifepath and you're fighting against other members of Arasaka or Militech, you'll do a little bit more damage to them because you're familiar with their tech. Vice versa, they'll do a little bit more damage to you because they're familiar with your tech. The detection multiplier also goes up a little bit because they know what to look out for if they're facing another Corpo. On the plus side of this, the upload time and the RAM cost in order to perform certain hacks will be decreased because you're familiar with the firewalls that the Corpo would use. This also gives you a slight increase of money per reward per level because you know what's valuable on a corporal versus what's valuable on a, say, street kid. And if you was to go against a street kid, you'll do a little bit less damage to the street kid because you're not familiar with their lifestyle and what type of tech that they may have. They'll do the normal amount of damage to you. However, the detection multiplier will be a little bit decreased because they're not exactly sure what a corporal member would have. This also affects the way that the hacks work because the upload time and the RAM cost is going to increase because you're not exactly familiar with what type of firewalls that the street kids may have. The reward per level also decreases a little bit because you're not exactly sure what's valuable for a street kid versus what's valuable for a corporation member. This also does affect the street cred multiplier. You'll get a little less street cred for taking on a corporation if you are part of the corporation versus taking down a street kid or a nomad as a corporation member or vice versa. Alright, so that's going to be the end of the video. As I mentioned before, I think a lot of these mods are suited for a second or third playthrough. However, you can install these mods if you're still finishing up your first playthrough of Cyberpunk 2077. I think they add a robust amount of RPG features that was missing from the game, as well as a little bit of cut content, but not as much as the last video that I've shown, which if you haven't seen, it should be pinned somewhere on the video and it may show up at the very end, as well as in the description down below with the rest of the mod links. You can go ahead and check out that video because I think a lot of those mods that I showcased in that video will work well with the mods that was showcased in this video. If you do enjoy the video, please go ahead and hit the like button and hit the subscribe button and bell notification icon. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload videos. I am going back to my roots and doing more Skyrim and adding some more Cyberpunk mod videos. We're going to dabble with Fallout 4 at some point as well, and any other future games that may have some mods that I am interested in playing. I will definitely be uploading to the channel as well. You can go ahead and follow me on Twitch if you want to see me play things outside of Cyberpunk and Skyrim and Fallout, as I do a plethora of games including Shinobi Strikers, and I've recently been playing Naraka Blade Point, fantastic battle royale game if you're interested in that type of stuff, so you can check that out over on my Twitch page. Other than that, thank you guys for watching the video, and if you do enjoy the mods, please go ahead and endorse the mod authors as they put in a lot of work to these mods, and it's something that I am working on doing myself as well whenever I do these showcases. So take care, and I'll catch you guys next time.